They are. They are truly, 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 truly demented. And people need to understand this is life and death, folks. They're putting in the face scanners, the license plate readers are already in. They're already tracking everything. They're already admitting their I mean, it's hell. I mean, and the military and police listening, folks, they are spiking your vaccines in water. Bob, you want to explain that to them?
Well, they've been doing it for a long time. It's just we didn't know about it. And if they can put chlorine in, they can put anything else in. And as Alex said earlier, they're getting all kinds of drugs in bodies of water that are nowhere near pollution, that are used for drinking water. They're hitting these reservoirs and the feeders to reservoirs before the water ever gets to be processed. I don't know what they're doing with the private water as far as bottled water is concerned. Do you know that, Alex?
Well, they picked a plastic in the 50s out of thousands of formulae, the only type that sloughs massive estrogen mimickers. And that's a fact. They admit that. In fact, people won't believe it. Just Google plastics sterilizing, sterilizing men. Or plastics releasing estrogen mimickers. And you'll get thousands of articles. It's admitted. Here's one out of CBS News, and this is a whitewash. Remember that. Mutant polio virus spreads in Nigeria. 124 children affected. I looked up the actual number. It was tens of thousands. This year by paralyzing disease believed to be caused by same vaccine used to fight it. Oh, it's an accident. But then you pull it up. Dozens and dozens of countries with weaponized polio vaccine killing and maiming the children.
And, you know, there is an enormous a group of people who are involved in this conspiracy, and that's exactly what it is, who are pedophiles and other deviants. And
again, the UN's been caught. Hundreds of articles. Everywhere they go, they run child kidnapping rings. Go ahead.
And what they want to do in eventually controlling you will be able to control your children so that they can use them as they want to. And it is so rampant, it's unbelievable. You know, I went to Rome one time. They wanted me to take over the Observatory Romano, and of course, at that time I didn't know anything about how to run a newspaper, and the editor had died, and his wife was running it, and they wanted myself and somebody else to run the paper. And the front page of the paper, Henry Kissinger's in town. Hide your children. I'll never forget it. Of course, you wouldn't see that kind of a headline in the United States, but Kissinger is a famous pedophile, as is Gordon Brown and the Bushes, and I could go on and on. There's millions of them. And they'll have a field day with children once they are able to take over. And so that's what is in the future for your children and grandchildren.
Devastating information with Bob Chapman. My goodness, if it was coming from anybody else, I wouldn't know what to say. Coming from him, I don't know what to say, but I've been to Bohemian Grove. I know about Skull and Bones, and the sky's the limit for these people. Let's take some calls. Lee in Minnesota, thanks for holding her on the air.
Hey, Alex. Hi, Bob. Great show. I don't know how I get anything done, Bob. It's great to listen to you. I did want to comment on something about Ron Paul and HR 1207. I just finishing up a macroeconomics class, and I believe I'll be getting an A or a B. And I've been trying to get the teacher to understand HR 1207 and the importance of auditing the Federal Reserve. I just got a message from him, and I get a chance to write some closing comments for the rest of the students and the teacher to see. Any suggestions on a short little blurb to write down so people can...
We don't really know what your paper's about, so it's hard for us to help you.
It's just about It's about macroeconomics in what's going on in Africa. I
would give them a Thomas Jefferson quote about if we ever allow private banks to take over the issuance of currency and credit, our children will wake up homeless on the continent we conquered. And I would give them some quotes by Jefferson about everything is the money power, this parasitic system that if you took all the power away from the bankers today, tomorrow they would write themselves a new fiat check for the rest of the world. Bob Chapman?
Well, he was exactly right, and that was a long time ago. And so we're fighting this enemy for over 1,000 years. And, you know, when I say that, and Alex says it, people say, well, gee, that couldn't be, tell us about it. But, you know, it's not something you can capsulize in 5 minutes. You have to go back and study it yourself. Either you're going to have to take our word for it. And that's why we're on the air, because we're here to help you. We're not selling anything. We're not doing anything. We're just saying, look, this is what's going on. You've got to become aware of it. You have to do something about it. If you don't, you're not going to like the way that you're going to have to live in the future. And all you have to do is read the publications and the announcements of the people who are involved in this, and you'll get the message. And you've got to let Congress and you got to let everybody in politics know that you know what they're doing, or you know what they should be doing to stop this.
Absolutely.
People have got to get up in arms.
You got to get angry, folks. Planetary government is being set up by people that want to cut your resources off and kill you. Hey, I forgot to ask you during the break, Bob. You want to stay 15 minutes in the next hour so we can take more calls?
Of course.
Awesome. Let's go to David in Georgia. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Hello. I was watching something on Democracy Now! Where they were talking about this lady named Yvonne Yanez who heads up a group called Action Ecologica. I'll preface this by saying there are a lot of bad guys in mining, but this is getting crazy. She proposes that they have a program called Keep the Oil in the Soil, and that Ecuador or some NGO receive money so that they don't produce oil.
No. That's what George Soros is saying. They will give payoffs to the governments not to develop and not to bring resources out, because then it creates artificial scarcity because the globalists already control most of the resources. So by shutting down other people, remember Bill Clinton in 1996, 97, the only clean-burning coal in North America was in Utah, in just a small area, but tons of it, enough to run the U.S. for over 100 years. And he signed an executive order for the environment to block that. That made Chinese coal that he and others owned part of, the only other big place in the world to have this clean coal with because it's much cheaper to burn, because your scrubbers don't have to be as complex to get the mercury and other phosphates. What's the yellow colored chemical? Sulfur, to scrub that out. And so, see, by making that coal off limits, that more than doubled the Chinese coal. Bob Chapman, you want to comment on this?
Well, it's exactly the way it happened, and that was a gift of the Chinese, and of course, they get paid off. I mean, the skullduggery that has gone on is just incredible. I mean, these are the inside stories that you're just not going to get from the major media, which these people own.
And, of course, a useful idiot like Robert Redford that went out there and stopped it from happening, he goes home and feels good. He doesn't know that he's contributing to energy loss and genocide worldwide because this hurts the third world the worst. Go ahead.
Well, I think there are a lot of people in the environmental and green area that mean very, very well. But they just don't understand some of the things that we do. And when you tell them, most of them don't want to listen, unfortunately. I mean, they're steadfast in what they believe in. And I think they should be more selective. And it's a shame because when you have a big name, because you're a movie star or something of that sort, people tend to listen to you, whether you're qualified or not.
David, anything else?
Yes, sir. I remember there was this company called Gabriel Resources. They had this huge mountain in Romania. It's been used since the Roman Empire. It's already a brownfield area. And they have these George Soros NGOs lobbying the Romanian government not to get it developed, and these NGOs have associations with Hungary, and Hungary feels entitled to land in Romania where this gold lies. And you go talk to the residents near the potential mine, and they all want the mine. They need the money. They're poor. Their girlfriends need consumer goods. The boyfriends are lonely. There's a film called Mind Your Own Business. Talks about that.
But see, what Soros will do is, and they did this in Austin, some of the same groups, they come in and say, you can't build on this 15,000 acres owned by 20-something ranchers. We're not going to let you build on it. The property value falls by 95%. Then they come back 5 years later and they say, we'll give you 10 cents on the dollar for the land. And then as soon as they have it, the mayor that did it opens his own bank and gives the land to himself publicly, makes Madoff look like and then just openly builds hotels and houses on it. And if you don't like it, a SWAT team will drop by and murder you and your family. I mean, that's how it works here in Austin. It's like, we rule you.